Hello, hello. This is Gitte Winter from Room for Reflection. I hope you are having a good morning. I am sending live to you from Denmark today to talk to you about child meditation and creativity, one of my favorite topics. So if you're watching and if you are tuning in, I would love to hear where you are watching from and how you're doing. What are you doing on this Friday morning or evening if you're watching from another time zone? So I am Gitte Winter and I am the author of this book, The Children's Meditations in My Heart, that is helping so many children fall asleep. Today I'm not going to talk so much about sleep, but rather creativity and how meditation and creativity go hand in hand. So you might have been using the book with your children for quite some time. Maybe you just got the book. A lot of you guys are buying the book right now and these days. If you are new to this, I'm just going to give you a brief, quick tour through the book so you know what I'm talking about. But this book is all about heart energy and teaching our children about how to open up to their hearts and how to explore their hearts and their love and share their love. So children love to receive love, but they also love to give love. And that's what I think that's so charming about children, that they're always so eager to give their presents and, like give drawings or whatever they've been doing. They come and they're so eager to give what they have been doing. And one of my daughters, when she was, I think she was about 5 or 6, and we made presents for the whole family for Christmas. And I always encourage them to do stuff, give presents that they have made themselves, like homemade stuff. And I asked her after we've been doing this for quite some time, and I said to her, why? So what do you think is the beauty of homemade gifts that you have made in school and you give it to your grandmother, to me or my husband or your sister? And she said, so when I'm crafting and I'm doing something for someone I love, it's like my love. I think about what they like, the color that the person likes, and then I send all my love through my hands into the stuff that I'm crafting. And so I'm giving all my love away or not all my love away, but I'm giving love away in this crafting and in this homemade gift. So that was her, and she was maybe 5, 6 at this time. That was her explanation of why homemade crafted gifts are the best. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about creativity and how you can encourage your children to become creative. I would love to hear from you if you have questions. I would love to hear where you're watching from. I would love to just check in and let me know that you are out there. I want to talk to you about some of the drawings that my daughters made when we started doing the meditations, and I hope that they can help you get inspired to begin drawing and crafting with your children after meditation. So one of the things that I love about child meditation is the time to just take a moment with yourself and your inner resources and your inner world as a child. Like everything comes through screens so fast, and everybody else has a way of telling our children how they should be and look and feel. So meditation gives them a chance to just actually get to know themselves and figure out what they want to contribute with and what they have inside and how beautiful they are inside. So some of the comments that have made the biggest impression on me while receiving so many letters and comments from all of you, some of those that have made the biggest impressions have been those where children expressed to their parents that they didn't know how beautiful they were inside until they read In My Heart. So imagine a child not knowing how beautiful the child is inside and actually getting to know how beautiful the child is inside. So today children are very young when they start watching YouTube, when they are on the internet, when they are on social media, And you can be sure that there's somebody teaching them how they should look and how they should be and how they should feel. So what we need to do as parents is to actually give them tools to understand who they are and let them know that they are wonderful the way they are, and they shouldn't change. They should just develop and grow and get to know themselves and start contributing. And we can do that by crafting with our children and by drawing with them or making up stories and stuff like that that promotes fantasy and creativity. So I want to show some of the early drawings when my daughters were young to you. So this one, my youngest daughter did when she was 4 years old in kindergarten. And I remember coming to the kindergarten, they had like an exhibition of their family portraits, and she was 4. And I came to the kindergarten, and one of the teachers told me to come and see my daughter's drawing. And we had been reading the book for half a year, about maybe a little longer at this stage. Or not reading the book at that time, I was just telling stories. There was no book back then. So the teacher came to me and she said, "Can you come and see your daughter's portrait with me, like a little curious?" And I said, "Yes, of course." And I walked over to all the portraits, and this one was hanging. And she asks me, "So this is your family portrait? Your daughter, 4 years old, has been drawing, and I'm curious to know, how come you have rainbows on top of your heads?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure about this one. I don't know." And I thought that was quite funny. I hadn't seen it before at this time. So we find my daughter. She's in the class and she comes running, and I say to her, "So honey, how come we have rainbows on top of our heads?" And she's like, "Duh, like, don't you know, Mom? Like, this is what we talk about every day." And she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna explain it to you since you're so stupid you don't get it." So this is the door to the mountain, and the mountain is this mountain that the children get to know in the book. So once you open the door, you are in the mountain, and then you are in love. So the green is the door, the yellow is the mountain, and the red is love. And since she knows by practicing this book that we all have a little love cloud, that's what they learn in the third meditation, that we all have love clouds hanging over our heads. So of course she draws us. By this time we've been doing this for maybe half a year, maybe a little longer. So the cloud has become such a natural part of her that of course we have the love cloud on the drawing. So this was just so amazing for me to actually understand how much this whole concept had grown on her, and she'd come to understand that we always can walk in through this door, and we can always go into the mountain, and we can always fill ourselves with love. So I thought that was so cute. And you know, all the family portraits, all the pictures she made afterwards, they were just rainbows on all of them. And I just kept them, and I loved them. And I could talk to her. I could say, "So what happened when you walked into the door today? What happened in the mountain? And how did you connect with your love?" And all these things throughout the day. And at this time, there was, I remember a specific episode where we talked about the love cloud, and she was still 4 years old, and I was going to Paris. I was going away on a weekend trip with my father and my sister. So a lovely little trip. And we were walking to the kindergarten, and she was hanging on to me. And she knew that I was flying out the next morning, and she didn't want me to go. So she said, "I don't want to go to kindergarten, I want to be with you, and I feel sad that you're leaving." I was going away for 2-3 days. "I feel sad that you're leaving, and I want you to stay with me." And of course, they always want us to stay. And I said to her, "So where is your little love cloud now?" And she said, like she's drawing it here, she said, it's right here next to me. I've dragged it down, so I have it close to me when you leave now that I have to go to kindergarten. So I know I'm going to miss you today, so I need my love cloud really close to me. So I've dragged it all the way down. So we went into the kindergarten, and I said goodbye to her, and she was okay. And the teachers were there, and they took care of her. And I came back, and I picked her up, and we had a lovely afternoon, and we had dinner, and at bedtime she was really happy. And it surprised me a little bit because we were approaching the time when I had to leave. So the sadness I had seen in the morning, and that was like 24 hours before we were saying goodbye, had sort of disappeared. I would have imagined that it would have grown and grown and grown, and she would be crying by the time we reached bedtime because I was flying out next morning. But she wasn't. She was happy and she was in balance and she was just having a good time. So when she goes to bed, I ask her again and I say, "So honey, where is your little love cloud now?" And she says with a big smile, she says, "All the way up into the sky, Mom, because if it's hanging really high in the sky, then you can much easier find it when you get to Paris. And then you can fill it up with love when you are in Paris. So if it hangs here, you can't see it as easily. So I need to send it up into the sky so you can find it and you can fill it with love." So I just thought that some of these stories could inspire you to talk to your children about the little love cloud and the mountain. So I want to show you a few other drawings that we had at this time. So another one related to this one is this one. So there were a lot of these types of drawings where we had this little cloud next to our faces. So this is my daughter, and this is my mother, and this is me, and even a little butterfly over here has a love cloud. So there were just so many drawings like this in the beginning where it was just a natural part of it. And she was 4. She wasn't very old here. So the cloud had just grown on her, and it shows that she had the cloud with her wherever she was, and I just loved that. So my other daughter was a little bigger, and she would do it in a different way. So she has been maybe 6 or 7 at this stage, and she actually writes in this bubble here, "Hi Ida, I have missed you." And I asked her, why did you write that? And she said, "Well, I haven't done the meditations enough lately, so I've missed coming to the mountain and seeing my heart and filling up my heart with love." So what she did, she was a little older, so she always drew the mountain. So you can see she's drawing the mountain from the book. And then she would add stuff like this, like up here, she had to put on a lock to protect parts of her, and she wrote all different kinds of things in these clouds hanging around. So it would be sort of like affirmations, like "you can do it" and "you're gonna have a great day" or something like that. So that's how she did it. And as they grow older, they started drawing the mountain in different ways. And we just have so many different mountains hanging around in our house like that. So what I'm trying to say here is that when they draw or craft after having done a meditation, it's like you get a peek into their soul, you get a peek into their mind, you get a peek into their emotional status, you get a peek into knowing what the meditation is doing to the child. And what they write or what they draw or how big the heart is. I've also gotten a lot of wonderful letters from parents who have sent me the drawings as a thank you for the book, where they have drawn big hearts with lots of colors. I have heard stories of children who are having a hard time who have tossed their heart, little bit tiny black hearts, into the corners of the mountains, and the parents had to drag the heart back and fill it up with love. I have heard so many different, both wonderful and quite frightening stories about how the children perceive their hearts. What we know is that even though it is frightening, and even though it's quite a lot to take on as a parent, that working with your emotions like that and starting to express your emotions will really help a child. So to give you an example of this, there was a mother of an adopted child, and the child was having a really hard time. And they started doing all the meditations, and she felt wonderful, and she was just, opening up to her heart, and she got longer and longer inside the mountain and worked her way through. The mother was very excited. Then one night, one night there was a problem and the child was crying and the mother was, oh, this is going so well, what's going on? And she said there was a dragon trying to steal her heart. So a dragon had moved into the mountain to try and steal her love and her heart. So knowing this girl's adoption story and knowing that she's been going through so much when she was a baby, the dragon was a symbol of what is scary when you start to love again. So when you start to love again, will the dragon come and steal my heart away again? And she was 1 or 2 when she was adopted. She was young when she was adopted, but you know, the energies are still there and the emotions are still there. So even though some of this can be scary, just know that your child is working through emotions when they are drawing. Last video I was talking about children who grieve, and I also explained how a teacher had been working with a group of students who had lost a parent and how they had crafted and they had put the heart in the center and drawn the person they were grieving, and you know, put all messages on around the heart. So we shouldn't be scared if it's not like a glorified story the child is sharing. Just ask questions, let them draw, hold the energy, like let them be who they are. Don't start to talk about anything about the quality of the drawing or colors or anything. Just ask questions, and you really get a chance to get to know your child and how you can work with the meditations and let them grow with your child. So if you want to know more about the book, go to roomforreflection.com and check out the universe around the book. We also have little clouds of love and different things to share with you. And I just hope that you will talk to your children about what they see and feel in the meditations, and let them draw and be creative. And that's really what meditation can open up to, a lot more of creativity for our children. So thank you for watching. We have a very wet day in Denmark, so this has been a nice little time being together with you in this live sending. So I wish you a wonderful day. Bye. Have a great weekend. Bye.